Mike, is over the course of a season, just with the continuity and required, is an offense the most difficult thing to kind of keep on pace from an efficiency and an explosiveness standpoint? Outside of injuries, because you're going to have injuries.
I mean, definitely, I think it's difficult, but there's a lot of challenges that are involved. I think you obviously, the lineup changes. That's always a challenge in all three phases. But yeah, I mean, when you do have success, everybody dials into that, and then when the defense has success against you, then you have to counter that. So yeah, there's a lot of challenges that go on during the course of a year.
Do you think that quarterbacks can have slumps, and do you think Dak is in one?
I wouldn't say the quarterback having a slump. I think it's different in football. It's 11 on 11. I think a lot of things go into it. I don't think Dak's in a slump. I think everything that has not gone the way we'd like it to go are things that we can improve on. That's the focus this week. We had a chance to go through the video as a staff, and all of our players have rolled through this morning. Really, everybody was in and out of there by 2 o'clock today. So, we'll just keep working. It goes this way sometimes.
Is he healthy?
Yeah, he's healthy. Yeah, he's a little sore. He took a few hits in the game, but yeah, I would say he's healthy.
You always have corrections on players. Would you say you've had more corrections with Dak since he's returned from the injury in comparison to before?
There's more corrections in the passing game because at the end of the day, that's the major component for a quarterback. So, and I think just like anything, it's not just a product of one player or one thing.
Any injury updates from guys from the game last night? And I know watching a number of guys that went on the COVID list. I don't know if any COVID updates would you have?
Yeah, we have a COVID update. Cedric Wilson will go on the COVID list today. Nashawn Wright will come off of it today. Tyron will not be available this week, so that has been determined.
Like the ankle or COVID for Tyron?
Ankle.
Ankle.
Yeah, ankle for Tyron.
Is it an aggravation of the same injury he had or something new?
Correct, yes.
Aggravation.
Yes.
When you evaluate all that, the jumble you had to do yesterday because you lost Collins and you lost Tyron, how did you evaluate all that?
Definitely we were able to finish the game. I mean, there's always technical things that you want to improve on. So, but yeah, I thought Ty and Terrence went in there and gave us a chance to win. Did some good things. Yeah, so it'll be. We have to see what LC, how he comes out of this situation. So, we'll start the game plan process today and go through it tomorrow, and hopefully we'll have some answers by Wednesday.
You were saying last night coming out of the game that one of your focuses this week offensively was going to be the controlled passing game. Can you just go into that a little bit more? What's not happening there, and how much does scheme help that, or is it just you've got to get the routes?
Well, just for the type of defense we played, they played more shell coverage over the top. They went to some 3-man rush in normal down and distance. Didn't see as obviously they played some man, but we have a statistic of ball distribution that we want to hit each and every week, 55 plus, and I think we're 57. So, I mean, there's a lot of good things there. With our yards per catch and yards per attempt in a run game, we just didn't generate big plays. And that was, in my opinion, based on how they played us, they were going to keep the lid on it and try to hold us. To hold our big plays to a minimum. We obviously had one big play that came back on the holding. So, but that's the way those games go. I mean, we had the ball for 80 plays. I think it obviously speaks to the defense, and I think defense had 13 drives and 60 plays. So, but all those things factor, and that's why we'll just stay focused on cleaning it up today and tomorrow, and move forward what we can to the Giants.
We asked you the first time that Tyron went through this ankle situation whether or not he'd have surgery. The answer then was no. Should ask it again.
Yeah, I don't think it's a surgical situation, though. Yeah.
We're asking about things to clean up, but also in this, have you found the atmosphere is better to clean those things up when you're winning? I mean, you are 9-4. You have a 3-game lead in the division. Is it easier to work through a stretch like this where every single game you're not backs against the wall? Is it?
Well, you have to play these games, back against the wall mindset. They're division games. I mean, it's December football. We all understand what's in front of us. I think our team does a good job of staying on point as far as the focus. I've been telling them since the beginning of the year, let's just get to 10 wins, and then we'll look see what's in front of us then. And this is our opportunity to get to the 10th win. So there's never been a coach that doesn't like to make hard corrections off of a victory. I think that's part of how things go. But I think clearly, I think when I first stepped in here Thursday, came in here and the focus was to win the game and improve. So there's definitely some things in the game we improved. I think our defense made a big leap as a defense. The run defense, the takeaways, just the juice, the way guys are flying around. We had our hands on a number of different balls. I mean, our takeaway opportunities, we had to be close to, double digits in that area. So we did improve, did some good things on special teams, ran the ball, got the attempts up where it needed to be. So, we improved as a team. But more importantly, we got that 9th win. And so now we get to recalibrate and go again against the Giants.
Would you go with Steele as Tyron's replacement, or is Nsekhe experienced?
That's really to be determined. We talked a little bit in the offensive staff meeting this morning, but that was before we had the information on Tyron.
So you said that you don't really know what's going on. Is there a chance Lyle could be suspended? Is what you're thinking?
I have no idea what's going to come out of the Lyle situation. Do you?
No, I'm just asking.
I'm just asking. You guys, you're pretty informed.
No, initially you said you didn't know what you're going to do because it depended on what's going on with Lyle. I'm thinking you're thinking that.
Yeah, I just we got to wait and see. I mean, it's he was ejected from the game, so we got to see what the evaluation of that is.
When do you anticipate? Do you have a point at which you anticipate knowing that by, given that Tristan's suspension came down pretty late relative?
Yeah, I think that relative to Tristan's situation, with the happened on Thanksgiving Day and all that. So yeah, I don't have that information. I haven't been involved in any conversations today about that.
When the offense struggles, do you say more, interject more in the meetings, or do you kind of just, in the offensive meetings, or do you just kind of leave it Kellen the way it's been all season?
Well, I go where I feel I need to be. So, so that's, and I do spend time in the offensive meetings and meet with, individuals anytime I feel like there's needs to be. So I like to feel like I'm everywhere. And, I think that's a part of this position and just the way the job description and responsibility has been laid out. So, but yeah, definitely. I mean, I'm always, a lot closer to the offense.
Can a play caller get out of a rhythm during the course of a season, then you try to find your way sometimes?
Change is hard. I think every play caller, anybody that's ever done it understands that. I think when your lineup changes, particularly, the lineup changes up front, because it starts up front, and just to have some regulation to, how things are going, both run and pass. So, yeah, that's part of the challenge. And, this is Kellen's 3rd year. So, I mean, he's getting, he's had a lot of experience and change last year. And so, we're obviously have our fair share this year.
You've talked about cutting down practices for your winter schedule toward the end of the season. Have you ever had a time in your coaching career where you felt like, whether because the offensive line pieces were changing or the timing was off between quarterback and receivers, that you wanted to add a little bit of time back? Or no, because the health is too important?
I think the opportunity to add is always there, and really if you're looking for a specific area you want to add to, it's probably in an individual period emphasis. Yeah. So if we went from, 5 minutes to 10 minutes, that happens. It has happened. But we're just very fortunate here with our facilities and the way our space is laid out. So with the schematic challenge and install challenge, the ability to have the number of walkthroughs we have here is excellent. So, but as far as the on-field work, if we need to add anything, that's still on the table.
What's Tony Pollard's outlook for this week?
Feeling a lot better. I know Jim and Britt both feel that he's improving, and to make a determination on see what he can do Wednesday. So.
CD, you guys use more of him at running back to kind of make up some of what you guys lose on the outside running game with Tony out. Do you think that's something that, or I guess how did you view how CD did in that area? And do you think that could be room for growth in this sub-package this season?
I thought CD did a great job. Those 2 runs, not only the design of them, but they're important. They're important calls in the game, situationally. So, love that dimension he adds, and no different in the return game too. So, I mean, I think anytime you can get CD an extra touch or 2, it's a definite benefit.
The first play where CD was at running back, he was in shotgun, he went out wide. Was the spacing with those two receivers what it needed to be? Dak ended up rolling left and having like a no-yard gain on the other side. He looked right with his first point of progression.
Well, I'm not sure what player you're talking about.
Y'all talked
Save it for Friday.
Yeah, right.
We need to get a TV in here. So.
Y'all talked about Tony partially tearing the plantar fracture and how it's better when it's fully torn for the healing process. Have you fully torn it yet, or how does that work?
You know, really, not to be to get into specific. I think those are better questions for the players. You know, I've never been comfortable or felt it was my responsibility to talk specifics on an individual's injury. So, you know, I'm sure if Tony wanted to share all that with you, he would.
You see a lot of times quarterbacks, receivers have natural connections. You saw that with Favre, Driver, and the guys obviously with Aaron up in Green Bay. Is it truly just natural and just kind of happens, or they see the scene the same way, or how much work goes into that?
Well, I think that comes with time. There's no doubt about it. I mean, it's just, you know, when certain guys run certain routes better, and you know, in those things, and it's not something that just shows up. That's for sure. I mean, it's something that goes through. And one thing our group has, the work ethic. You know, you see the extra routes after practice, you see the extra time, and I always felt that's where the little things in the route running and the time clock development is really you know grows, and you know, and that's something you're really always working on. And I think really today's athlete, as far as you know, today's modern NFL player, just the amount of time these guys spend together in the offseason too is a huge benefit too. I mean, you know, most of these guys work out together, so and that's where those timing opportunities are developed. So, you know, and our crew does a good job of it.
What do you think of the connection that Dak and CD have had here? And they've finally played 16 games together.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think those guys are building a nice rapport, and I think, you know, Michael Gallup and obviously Amari have that too. And I mean, shoot, you could put Cedric Wilson right in that. So you could see Dak's very comfortable with those guys. And you know, we don't. You know, if you look at some of the on the ball and no huddle things that we do, and just the ability to roll those guys through and don't feel like this guy only plays Z and this guy only plays F and this guy plays, you know, X, the ability just to play right and left, and in those particular situations, I think that tells you, you know, how we are developing. And that's something I was always a big believer, going all the way back to the college evaluation process. I've never been a fan of it, you know, just and some people do it this way, just this guy can only play X, this guy can only play Z. I think it's important for your perimeter players to be able to play all four positions, because this game's about matchups, and when you get into the big games to beat the really good defenses, you got to be able to line guys up wherever you want to.
On the interception of the pick six, when you watch the film, did Dak just not see the linebacker? What happened there?
No, he didn't see the linebacker. Yeah, it's you know, we had some spacing concern there, so we weren't as clean as we should have been there.
Connor McGovern, you have a 4-start sample with him at left guard. What are your views about what he's shown thus far?
I think Carter's done some good things. I mean, there's definitely some things he can improve on. You know, there's certain things. You know, the zone blocking had a big matchup challenges this past week. So, but definitely, I think, you know, he's got a lot of good football in front of him. You know, he's still growing, still developing.
The step on Tyron, when Connor stepped on him, is that just something that happens in the trenches, or is that?
Well, I mean, it's football. Yeah, it's not, obviously that's not what you're looking for, but yeah, you know, it happens.
Dorrance
Roll up on him?
Yeah.
had the scoop and score touchdown. He also, I believe, tipped Randy's interception before Randy intercepted it. I guess, talk about the growth you've seen from him and what you've learned from him.
Who was the first part?
Dorrance Armstrong.
Oh, Dorrance. Oh, DA does a great job. Really impressed with him. I go back to last year, just the impact he made for us on special teams, and then, it took a while for him to get an opportunity there at the rush position. So not only he's done that, he jumps back and forth to special teams when we need him. He also is developed into a really good inside rusher. So very versatile player, smart player, instinctive. But there's not too many games where he gets in, particularly when his reps are up, that he doesn't make a play. So I think Dorrance is having a heck of a year.
Neville Gallimore had a sack, made several key run stops. What was your overall assessment of his first game?
Neville played well first time back. I mean, you felt his impact, just the impact plays you've already described. But, just the energy. I think, some of the best, part of the evaluation today was not only the production on defense, but the production on our sideline, just the juice and the energy that was going on, on all three phases throughout the game. So, like I said, I felt like we improved in a lot of areas of the team. The production, the execution probably wasn't quite where we would like it to be, but we definitely took a step.
Last year, as I recall, you weren't very pleased with your guys when there wasn't much of a response after Andy Dalton got blasted. With Lyle, I mean, how do you balance that? How do you respond with it, but then not be in a position where maybe we could just...
Well, I'd like to, think last year was a learning experience, but definitely. I mean, we coached that. I think every coach, coaches that there definitely needs to be response. But we talk about using a Viper technique. We actually teach the technique of what you do in those situations because we don't want to see players get ejected or we don't want to see it go any further than it needs to go. But yeah, definitely the response, and we talk a lot about taking care of one another, protecting one another, the support of the 48 on game day. Everybody's poured into those 48, and more importantly, the 48 taking care of one another. I mean, that's what team sports is, So, and definitely, I think we definitely made an improvement in that area.
I'm back with Tyron again. Is it just he's out for sure this week, or is this something to be multiple weeks?
You should say thank you, Mike. It's Monday, and you put Tyron out this week, right?
Thank you for that.
All right, we're good.
2 weeks.
I can't. I'm not a doctor, and I just know he won't play this week. So.
When you were calling plays on offense and still now as a head coach, if you had a type of a defense that you were struggling with against as an offense, would you rather see that same defensive scheme every week or something different every week? Like, what's more challenging?
You mean schematically?
Yeah.
I mean, to me, the scheme part of it's secondary. I mean, it's usually the matchups, and who you're playing against, their experience and their level and their cohesiveness as a defense is really where my experience has been the challenge. So, yeah, because you have plans for certain schemes, and you have certain concepts that you run against certain schemes, and no different how the defense approaches the offense too. So, yeah, I think that the most important thing is the technique and the cohesiveness, the aggressiveness, the confidence, in the physical matchups of the players is really, so when you're playing against a great defense, usually it's not because of what scheme they're playing, it's because of the 11 or 14 players that they have playing together, and I think that's what you're seeing with our defense.
You spent a lot of capital in the offseason on the defensive side of the ball and the draft and also free agency, so you had expectations this was going to improve. But how much have they improved since the start of the season, and when did you really start to see this group kind of developing into what it's becoming here?
You could see the potential in the spring. Once again, we didn't have many opportunities. With the OTAs and everything, but I think it's just like anything. Every year you have a roster, and you're developing it, and you watch it come together. Obviously, coming out of the draft, we were excited, and I think the veteran free agent was really the start of it. So to put to really change that side of the ball, it was obviously an emphasis for us. So, and then just watch the personalities come together in the spring. So you felt good about that, but it really you never really know until you get to training camp and you get into the pads and then you can see some of the practices early were lopsided. The defense was ahead of the offense, and so that was exciting for the defense, and and then we've had some moments, but really to have the whole defense together. This is the first time they've all been together, with everybody healthy since training camp. So, and that's obviously very exciting for us.
Playing off of that a little bit, can the identity of a team change so much in the course of the same season that it becomes maybe a little bit more of a defense first team than an offense first team, the way this team's playing lately?
I'll tell you, I'll say what I say I'll say what I said when I arrived here, and I'll say what I said after last year. You cannot win a championship without defense. That's been my personal experience as a head coach. Won one championship. We were a top 5 defense that year. So defense regulates the game. Offense, your quarterback has to go finish it. So, and that's been the focus, and it's been fun to watch it, grow. And but hey, we don't have it all figured out on defense either. We have room for improvement, but it's a big part of our formula.
You talk about the veteran free agents you brought in. You didn't spend the big money on guys. Can you just talk about the roles that you envisioned, if they all kind of fit to what you would want with all those guys?
Well, the fact is, I think we really hit the nail on the head as far as the roles that these guys are playing, and really the body types, and really changing the way we wanted to play on defense. So I mean, just you look at our front. I mean, it looks entirely different than it did this time last year. So ball skills in the secondary, number one priority from my viewpoint. So and that's look at the takeaways. So I mean, it's nice when you set out a vision of what you want your defense to look like, and you're watching it come together. And I mean, Dan Quinn, the assistant coaches, and the players, just the connection to watch it all come together. It's been awesome.
Cedric, are you able to disclose what kind of protocol he's in? Is he a close contact or positive test?
He tested positive this morning.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mike.